It's really rare to have regulators be as critical of a bank as both the OCC and the Federal Reserve were of Wells. One person described Sloan's demeanor in that hearing to me as both defiant and defensive. And you had the OCC, Wells's regulator, come out hours later with a really tough statement saying they were disappointed in the bank. The odd thing is that Sloan took a pretty big pay package, almost $20 million, an increase from the previous year. And it's pure speculation, but one person did speculate to me that would you have taken that much money if you weren't planning to go? Or would you have done something that looked a little bit more appealing? And the Federal Reserve, which never criticizes specific institutions, was critical of Wells right after that.
Do you think the hearing was the last straw? Or do you think Tim Sloan, to your kind of point you're alluding to, Bethany, had planned for this?
Well, there's been a tone deafness at Wells ever since this scandal hit years ago, and it didn't get any better under Sloan's leadership. So you can speculate that maybe the hearing was the last straw, but it obviously came as a huge surprise to everybody. Nobody in the investment community was expecting it, as you guys have noted. Buffett wasn't expecting it. It's a huge surprise.
Was Wells Fargo's greatest misstep picking Mr. Sloan? I mean, not knocking him personally, Bethany. What I'm saying is, with all the scandals, should they have gone outside the company 2.5 years ago?
Right. Well, there's something really odd and, dare I use the word, dysfunctional going on there, because to pick a 30-year veteran of the bank who was there during everything that happened, everything that went wrong, was an odd move in many ways. And maybe Wells thought that they could confine the scandal to the retail bank, but then the news continued to break of problems in other parts of the business too, making it look less and less like Sloan was a clean pick. But look, it's odd now too with his resignation, and one reason why you have to believe it really came as a surprise inside at Wells too, is picking the general counsel as your interim CEO with no apparent successor is not great for one of the nation's largest banks.
Elizabeth Warren tweeting on this, number one, saying, pardon my French, it's about damn time for Sloan's ouster, but also saying she's calling for an investigation by the SEC and or the Department of Justice, and if anything was found, that he should go to jail. Do you believe an investigation into Mr. Sloan's tenure is valid?
I mean, I think that's political propaganda. There may be something big that we don't know about that could have instigated his departure. That's just pure speculation. I think it's just been this steady drumbeat of continuing problems in Wells's business. I don't know. I think they're going to have to roll out a new advertising campaign that's reinvented 2019 or reinvented 2020, right? Since the 2018 reinvention doesn't seem to have gone all that well.
Does it need to be broken up?
You can ask that question about all the big banks, right? Going back to the financial crisis, one of the big tragedies, I guess, is that we came out of this with even bigger banks rather than some kind of rethink of our banking system. If Wells Fargo needs to be broken up, then you could certainly make that argument about the rest of the big banks too.
What do you think is going to happen with Wells Fargo, Bethany?
I think it's going to struggle for another couple of years. I think that culture went so deep at the bank, that really intense sales-driven culture, and you yank that out and say you can't do that anymore, and then you have to replace the culture with something else. And I don't think they figured out what that something else is. And I also think the bank has continued to be really tone deaf. They were tone deaf when the scandal first hit. They didn't think it would be a big deal. They didn't realize the extent of the anger, and they were tone deaf in picking Tim Sloan as the next CEO, and they've continued to be tone deaf over the last couple of years. And none of that gives you the view of an institution on the cusp of a dramatic step forward, right?